You asking us to start doing content in English, and we want to bring you the best. Today, we have the pleasure to have again Professor Juan Simon Sandoval. Many of us know as Ness Sandoval, and he sent this morning an email that have a lot of information for our region. And if you live in Missouri, it's very important information about demographics and how it's changed. Professor, thank you for being with us again. You know that I can be honest, I have bias. I am fan of the job that he does and the information that he provides is critical and sometimes people don't believe how critical it is. So the census give the updated numbers and we have areas that are in really good shape, but others that doesn't.
Yes. Yeah. So, at least for the Kansas City part, the region, the city, this is actually city data. Kansas City grew by about 8,000 residents over since the last census. And so that's,
2020.
yeah. And so that's the absolute growth. Um, in terms of percent growth, you had other cities in the region out there that were growing.
They are growing, but you talked to, and I want to put here the information that you sent because I think it is critical. Understand a little bit. I will try to put the information so people can see it and listen to us. But these other areas that are in serious troubles right now, San Luis is in serious trouble. San Jose is in serious trouble. Independence is in serious trouble. When
Oh,
we
independent, yeah, independent, a little decline there in independence, yeah.
yeah, that these who the people the cities the decline population was the three more decline population. So you are being saying this for years. I know that you are expert and I know that you know San Luis. In what do you think is happening? What our city leaders in these three cities, for example, probably in others, we use these three, San Luis, San Jose, and Independence, are don't they are not seeing that Kansas City is seeing and is able to gain. Because I made the account yesterday too, and actually the region of metropolitan, the Kansas City metropolitan area, all around they really gain a lot of population. When you put Kansas and Missouri,
Yeah,
all this group they got around, if I am not wrong, 50,000 people in 4 years. What is huge?
yeah. So what I would say is Kansas City, things are looking. It's a different city, right? So it's Kansas City is more diverse.
Mhm.
It's got a very large Latino population, and so it's younger, and so it's able to grow because of its demographic profile.
Okay.
In the independence, right? If you look at the numbers for independence,
Mhm.
I just got to pull these up here.
And since
There's
he's
lots
looking,
of population,
yes,
and it's behind St. Joseph, and so these are on the outer sides of Kansas City, right? Independence is a suburb
yes,
south,
yes, it's
and
very
St. Joseph is north.
it's 35
And
minutes north
so
there.
these are regions that are probably aging.
Okay.
If we can go back to I can't remember what county is Independence in. Is that in Johnson County?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I
So
believe.
it's a different county, and so you have issues of an aging population out there. Uh, Again, the point of these estimates is to get people to start
Okay.
talking, and
In this talk, what do you thinking is aging? You say cities and aging. So and I
yeah,
remember
aging. I mean, these are not terrible numbers, except for St. Louis City. St. Louis City is a terrible number.
yeah.
But these are issues where regions and these suburbs need to start thinking about um, change, housing, uh, thinking about being friendly to development of housing, how to think about getting younger, being a destination for families with children. And so that's the challenge for some of the suburbs around Kansas City is we have to, when the data comes out in September, we have to kind of look at the components of change. But it's So when we talk about the region, we often say like everything in Kansas City is the same, and it's not, because Kansas City, like St. Louis, is a bi-state region. And
Yes.
so you have the Kansas City part of Missouri, and you have the Kansas City part of, and I don't have it in this database, the Kansas City part of Kansas, and
Well,
so you can see differences there.
I saw that, and I want to. I actually check a really bit about Kansas, and Kansas City, Kansas lost a little bit, but other cities around Kansas City, Kansas, they really are booming too. So you talked about diversity and attract young generations. The first time I hear about you, you was talked about the importance of specifically the topic of Latino communities, try to bring and then try to move and then try to support and then and try to use cities migration as the way they will be able to grow or maintain. Do you think in this is a wake-up call for these other cities, St. Louis, that start moving? Or and I also read a post that you put, say 2 3 months ago. They talked about housing issues. So this is a housing issue. What is made this new generation move to the more populated areas, or this is an issue of lack of diversity, or both?
It could be a housing issue. It could be an issue. I'm not that familiar with the suburbs there,
Mm, okay.
but I'm not sure, and we can look it up. I mean, I know is Kansas City Metro. They are building housing. We have to look at to what extent what's happening at the state level,
Okay.
the image of the state, and whether people actually even want to come to Missouri to begin with.
Mhm.
Younger people may be turned off by some of the rhetoric that's happening at the state level. And so they may be wanting to say, well, I want to go to a different state. I want to go to Carolinas. I want to go to Indianapolis, right? So there's only so much we can say with this data here. But it did point out that two parts of the state are experiencing different demographic shifts. The two cities, the two biggest cities in the
Yeah,
state,
too big, exactly.
and they kind of represent the story of the United States, a story of decline and a story of growth, and we just see it here in Missouri. And I think Kansas City, in many respects, has a lot of answers, a lot of questions it wants to ask itself as a city, as a region that wants to grow and attract new people to its city and its region. And I think the question is, and the same question that St. Louis is asking, how welcoming are you going to be as a city and as a region to people from outside of Missouri moving in?
So
And this is recruiting people from Texas, from Phoenix, and immigrants in general coming in into the region.
so welcoming need to be a priority, and housing is what I taken from this
Yeah, and I think
conversation.
Kansas City has to continue building on its success and stay young. Right? If you get old, like St. Louis region, you'll just see fertility decline. And so Kansas City was able to rebound after that COVID demographic shock. St. Louis did not rebound. And so this is something we call the demographic resilience,
Okay.
your ability to respond to these demographic shocks. And part of that is when you think of yourself as resilient, when we're young, we're very resilient, right? We can fall down and we get back up and we can run. When I fall now down, I check to see if I got anything broken. It takes a couple minutes to straighten up. And so that's just what happens as a society when we start to age, when something happens that's not anticipated. It takes a while to kind of figure out how do we get our momentum back. But if your population is younger, you respond much faster,
And that help.
and that
Um,
helps.
do you thinking that in terms of that, so we have that, I know the before you say what we see today will be the results in 20 years. So do you thinking that these cities can shift the situation, that they are on time to try to, oh, we are thinking in a big metropolitan area, the Kansas City, in the next 20 years?
Yeah, so I'm going to read a quote to you, okay? Give
Yes.
me a second. because I think this is everybody needs to understand this. So let me pull it up, okay?
You are more than welcome. We are with the Professor Ness Sandoval. He works so hard for our region in terms of demographic and explaining us all the change that happen. So I don't think it is anybody that know more about what is going on here than Professor Ness. And he's looking for something that he wanted showing us. A quote helping us understand what is happening and where we're going. Since he's looking and he will let me know when he's ready, I want to let you know this is the cities that you are seeing right now that had more decline. San Luis, San Jose, and Independence, Missouri are the three cities in the state that are los most population. When we about who are the winners in this first part, is Kansas City, Lee Summit, and Columbia. They are the three cities that right now are booming, you want to call, in terms of the population want to live there. And the other three are the three cities where the people are living and are not there at all.
Okay, so here's the quote, okay?
Okay.
Democrat, and I won't read the entire quote, but the part that really gets to the question that you asked
Mhm.
and why leaders need to think about this. Leaders and business people, and I just think people who are concerned about the future of the United States. And so the way I kind of explain this to a non-academic in a way that they get it
Yes.
is think of our century. It's 100 years. So if you like football, that's 4 quarters. And we're finishing the first quarter, our first 25 years of this century.
Okay.
What my job as a demographer is to kind of, where are we going to be at halftime in 2050? Where are we going to be in the third quarter in 2075? And will we win this century? Where will we be at the 2100, right? And so my job is to say, St. Louis has lost this quarter. These 25 years have been a very bad 25 years for St. Louis. Kansas City has been a very good year, 25 years. That doesn't mean things cannot change for Kansas City and turn negative. And for St. Louis City, it can turn and become positive. But here's the part of the quote I think people need to understand. Often, demographic transitions occur quietly, beneath the surface of everyday actions, meaning that the effects can take hold long before we fully grasp the significance. So
Very.
if we ignore this and we think everything is fine, and then all of a sudden you start to see businesses close, you start to see schools consolidating, it's too late. It's too late. Because those demographic transitions happened probably 15, 20 years ago. And so the thing that people need to realize is that you cannot just turn things on and off today. It takes a generation to turn things around. And so that's the part that for Kansas City, they got to be progressive and proactive and stay in front of the curve. For St. Louis, we're catch up, right? We understand that this is not going to happen overnight. And we have to work even harder just to stop the rate of decline. And once you can do that, you can start thinking about increasing. So that I finished this quote, recognizing or accepting demographic reality is not a prerequisite for being affected by it. So you may not believe it, but you're going to be affected by it. Just as gravity acts regardless of belief, demographic forces reshape our communities, economies, and institutions regardless of whether we choose to engage with them. Demography, but even in the absence of recognition, the impact will be felt, right? And so you can say, I don't believe any of this, doesn't matter. Just like gravity, it impacts us. And this will impact Kansas City. Right now it's a positive way. In St. Louis City, it's negative.
Yes.
The idea that I'm going to close my eyes and pretend that it does not exist is foolishness. It does exist.
Doesn't.
We have
does-
multiple forms of data from that's telling us the same story.
Professor, thank you for being with us. I don't want to close that. If not say it, you are extremely valuable for this region. I don't know if somebody told you, but I want to tell you, You are extremely important. I will left the graphic because I wanted the people go with that graphic. These are the cities that are growing right now. Kansas City, Lee Summit, Columbia are the cities who gain more population. And in terms of decline, unfortunately, we have also three cities that are losing population. Let me put it here, and are in right now St. Louis, St. Joseph, Missouri, and Independence, Missouri. With that, we say thank you, everybody, and I hope you start the conversation with your local leaders. If you are in the cities, the game, and if you are in the city, they are in decline.